Hello and welcome to the Fanboy Modeling School. I am the Fat Mantis, and as usual, I'm here with my man,
Steve. Really no gimmicks. What up, bro?
The question is, are we in HD tonight?
We are in HD. I was about to say something, but then you were like, yeah, you fixed it. You fixed it.
Yeah, got it. Yo, we're just coming off an amazing event. For those who aren't in the know, UFC 250 last night happened to correlate within a month of America's 250th birthday and President Donald Trump's birthday. An amazing event. It was televised, well, it was streamavized over on I get them all confused, Paramount Plus, but it was a super good time. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk nerd culture. We're going to talk Spider-Man. We're going to talk X-Men 1997, and I think we've got a bunch of other just Christian nonsense that you guys are going to just fall asleep at. But
oh man, RizRadio.com, Riz Radio Live 365, the home of Fanboy Modeling School and all other types of shenanigans. My brother, I got to tell you honestly, man, I just got to say this, man. Turning 45 on May 30th, happy belated to me, has really helped me realize something, that my YouTube algorithm is filled with depressing things, man. If I get one more post about half your life is gone, what are you going to do with the other half? I'm like, well, the first order of business is block, delete, report account. Why am I getting this stuff?
Right. Report, block, delete, report account is absolutely the deal. I mean, if we're going to get into this, are we really getting into this?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So obviously, like any good marketing machine, all the different apps, like all these apps, they target people. They try to figure out who you are, right? What your demographic is, and they target you for certain things. I'll give you an example. If you've hit 40 or over, you're going to constantly get ads for ED pills. And I had no idea there were this many. They're just all over the place. There's this, that, the Blue Chews, Row. The craziest names are like, there's Sparklers and Dashers and Prancers. And I'm surprised they don't call one cocaine. It's all over the place. They all claim to be better than the others. And it is infuriating. That's infuriating, right?
Right.
But on another level, there's two things. I was literally just complaining about this to my sister the other day. So Instagram tries to sexualize me and Twitter tries to make me violent. And so here's what it is. If you're looking at reels, if you eventually, or if you're flipping enough, you're hanging out on it, eventually what they're trying to target you at will appear on Instagram reels, right? So let's say you've watched like 9 or 10, and then the 11th is some spicy girl who's like 19 doing simulated sex acts on her Instagram. And it's just a ton of that. They're just selling you sex. They're like, he's an old guy, he must want sex from young girls.
Right.
And then meanwhile on Twitter, if I'm scrolling around the videos on Twitter, eventually they all turn into fight videos where it's usually black teenagers fighting, or worse, black teenagers victimizing white people. And they're trying to get me angry. They're absolutely trying to get me angry. The most recent one, and obviously this is kind of like a touchy subject, the whole Carmelo Anthony thing.
Right.
The recent thing is, these people who like to make go viral for beating people up. Their new tactic is, there'll be black teenagers and they go up to a white person. They go, "You were on a jury, weren't you?" "Yeah, you were. F you," and then they'll sucker punch them. Just the fact that this has become a thing, I'm like, and it gets me so irritated. Like, obviously I'm like, this is horrible injustice. It's like eating away that this is happening in the world.
Shout out to everyone in the chat real quick. Shout out to Carmen and everyone else that's ghosting over in Rumble right now. Carmen
Rumble kids.
Carmen says, "Oh, when I see so many retirement ads popping up on my phone."
That's so funny. They're attacking women at their fear of like not having enough, and so they're like, is your retirement squared away? Meanwhile, they're like, old guys just think about their dicks, so they just constantly sending us ED commercials.
Man, it's a horrible world we live in. But I gotta say, man, I am really impressed with the fights that we got, man. It was just a good time last night, my brother. It was a really really good time. UFC.
It was a seriously good time. And so we're going to have to talk about this because obviously it was already controversial. But then again, anytime Donald Trump drops a deuce, it's controversy. People are like,
dropping deuces,
and so celebrating his birthday happened to fall on Flag Day. So, he gets to have this event, right? And so people are like, it's evil. It's, the sacred land of the White House. How dare you have blood sport on it?
Right.
Well, let me tell you a little something about the history of this. Well, did you know that Teddy Roosevelt used to regularly have boxing events on that same lawn?
I didn't know that, but it does not surprise me. It's the White House.
Exactly. Well, we got to remember it's somebody's house, right? So he should have the right to chill in the fashion he wants to.
Right.
Right. And are we still pretending that presidents aren't rich guys? They're rich guys or girls someday, maybe. So Lo says I got ED ads for days. What up, Rogue Radio? Holla at your boy.
What up?
Shout out to everybody out here, Lo, Rogue Radio, all of you out there supporting us right now. But so it starts on controversial, right?
Right.
I didn't know what we were getting. Here's what it is. I didn't think it would be a mess, but actually it's the opposite. I had never seen such high production value for a UFC fight ever in my life.
Yeah, what's crazy, man? UFC has done a great job in the past 2 years. If you're a steady fan of MMA like I am, and you've been watching their events for some time, since the Fox Sports 1 days, that's when they really started upscaling production, and obviously they had their time on ESPN, and then moving over to Paramount Plus, everything wise has been going great. Now, there was some chatter about the UFC numbers being lower on Paramount Plus, but that was because some of the first fights they put out on Paramount Plus maybe weren't the best. They were glorified fight nights. No one asked for a Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2. Diego Lopez didn't do enough to get an instant rematch, but that doesn't matter because last night we had Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira, right? We had Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje unifying the 155 belt. We had Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Firas Zahabi's brother. He had a brother.
whoever he was.
Bo Nichols versus some guy that got cut on the UFC and they brought back, and he somehow made it on the White House card. There were no prelim fights, 8 fights on the main card, and every fight was a finish. In fact, the bonuses last night were insane. Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria taking home fight of the night. Justin Gaethje taking home performance of the night. He took home in bonuses alone estimated over $800,000.
I mean, I love it. I love to hear it. Basically, these guys, they're putting their body, their health, their sanity out on the line more than probably any sports.
Right.
And so they absolutely should be paid. And so I'm glad to see them make their payday. And that's another thing. And obviously, it's only been 10 minutes, so I need to start bashing the liberals, right? So here, I'll give you an example of what's going on. And so the disrespect that goes on here. So, I was at my church, and it's coffee hour after church. And so all the foods were in red, white, and blue. They organized it. And I was like, this is beautiful. This is wonderful. And they're like, yeah, it's Flag Day. And I said, yeah, you know what? What else? It's the president's birthday, which obviously triggered a bunch of people. And I probably should have known that. I was being a little cheeky right there. Right. And then so, a man who is a good man, I like him. He's a good guy, but he's an unrepentant liberal. Right? And he goes, yeah, and he's celebrating with having a pit fighters out on the lawn.
Pit fighters is wild.
Yeah, and he said pit fighters, and I was like, you know how I know that you're a liberal? You don't know anything about fighting. Right. And so what it is they're always appealing to this. They kept trying to pitch the idea that Donald Trump is hiring hobos
Right.
to sit in a cage and beat each other up.
Bum fights.
And then it's not just like one of the fastest growing sports. It's a legitimate sport. There's honor amongst them, with the exception of one fighter. All the fighters fought honorably and acted honorably at the end. I loved that.
You know what's crazy? The UFC, considering that at one point it was a no holds bar, no rules, endurance contest, starting off with the Gracie family, and the way it's worked itself into the main zeitgeist of popular culture. Last night, it really could have been the pinnacle of MMA being accepted in the social status, right? For God's sakes, it was on Paramount Plus. I think there was something like 30,000 people in attendance. That's not around the octagon, right? The people on the lawn, people doing the watch parties, the weather went out everything worked out perfectly, bro. There were even, the stream didn't even buffer once. I'm so used to UFC fights buffering, it didn't even
I'm used to Paramount Plus buffering. And it was crystal clear. It was really well. I love that they had the fighters walk through the White House.
Yes, yeah.
I can't believe they went there, but that was pretty cool that they did that. They got to do, and so they were walking with their crews, but every one of them walked with a soldier who had fought in a war and gotten the Purple Heart from being wounded, and they walked them out to the fight. It was amazing. The energy was amazing. We have a bunch of fighters praising Jesus at the end of that. Love to see that. All of them acting, like I said, I'm going to say it again, acting really honorable.
All except for one. So I'm going to give you a quick breakdown, but I will, use brevity and I won't put you guys to sleep. But I got to go MMA fan. So first fight of the night kicked us off. Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Diego Lopez, by way of Mexico, by way of Brazil. He has fought for the belt twice against Alexander Volkanovski. Lost both times, but came back in his first showing, I believe, since losing the fight to Volkanovski against Steve Garcia, who's from New Mexico. And not going his way at first, Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez was the one with the mullet. Steve Garcia was piecing him up. And then when they got to the second round, I believe it was, second round, Diego Lopez got him to engage in a firefight. And when these technical fighters, and this is a trend that you're going to see later on in the main event, technical fighters with power, they get into these barn burners and they're not used to a guy who doesn't just go away, who doesn't shrivel up at the first sign of opposition. And Diego Lopez put Garcia out with a sloppy left and an even more beautiful right. First fight goes off without a hitch. Stay with me, Mantis. Then we got Bo Nickel, right? The all-American wrestler, Bo Nickel. I don't know how much you know about this kid. Highly touted in the wrestling world, collegiate. I don't believe he went to the Olympics. He was going against Kyle Dacus. Not pronouncing his name right. Shout out to Kyle Dacus, right? He was a guy who got cut from UFC, went to the regional scenes. Too good to be on the regional scenes. Stayed there anyway in actual pit fights, and fought his way back and somehow made it on the biggest card of the year to fight Bo Nickel. Everyone thought it was going to be a snore fest. Oh, Bo Nickel's going to come back because Bo Nichols is coming off his first career loss. Comes back. First round is wrestling heavy. Second round, Bo Nickel, the wrestler, puts him down. TKO. Bam. We're moving on to the next fight. It was just like bam, bam, fight after fight. Then we move on to poor Michael Chandler. I don't know how much you know about Michael Chandler. Once upon a time, he was supposed to fight Conor McGregor. They did the Ultimate Fighter series, the reality show.
Right. Okay.
Waiting 2 years for this fight with Conor, and then Conor had to pull out, blah, blah, blah. He takes on Mauricio Rufy. So essentially what happened here, my good friend, was they brought Michael Chandler, who is also an All-American, who is a Patriot, on to be sacrificed to the superior younger fighter. And Mauricio Rufy, as you can see, is a dynamo when it comes to striking and MMA. Very clean kicks, very clean punches, and he got Mike Chandler's old ass out of there. Another KO. But you're saying, Steve, they couldn't have all been KOs. This brings us to the most contentious fight of the night. New on the scene, heavyweight Josh Holkett versus everyone's favorite lewd and crude fighter, Derek Lewis. If you don't know who Derek Lewis is,
the Black Beast.
He's the Black Beast. He's the fighter who said, when they asked him famously, why'd you take your shorts off? He said, my BALLS. Which he took his shorts off. He's going against Josh Holkett, who is somehow channeling WWE. He's one of these fighters that isn't naturally charismatic and naturally doesn't have the ability to pull audiences in, But in this edgelord culture we live in now, where people can just say anything and pretend to be a conservative, we have a guy saying wild stuff. So I had him winning this fight before they came in. He's too fast. He used to play professional football, so he's very athletic for a heavyweight. He styled on Derek Lewis. Saw it coming. That's not what.
By the way, I was impressed how Lewis is essentially immune to arm bars.
Yeah,
he withstood like a 40-second arm bar.
Okay, and so in all fairness, that was amazing, but the arm bar wasn't locked up correctly, and I don't think that the Hogan was trying to get it. He was just styling on him. But then Hogan wins it, and this is where we stop with our first peach of controversy tonight. Does his speech, super corny guy, but then he says something outrageous. He says, "America, Michelle Obama is a man." Am I right?
So forgive me for laughing. I think it is tacky and disgusting that he said that. Just so gross. And so, we see Joe Rogan there, and he does like the nervous laugh. When someone's trying to be funny, but you don't want to offend them. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of chuckling. You're like, that was totally Joe Rogan's thing. I don't even think Trump laughed at that. And let me tell you, there were people who cheered, but it was not the crowd. The crowd didn't cheer. It was like one section of idiots, right? Probably the Coast Guard laughed at that. But so yeah, he had to spoil it, and he also gave his necklace. He gave his necklace to Trump.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I mean, that was cool. But so, what do you think about the whole? What do you think about him calling out Michelle Obama?
Okay, it's stupid for so many different reasons. Like, for instance, Michelle Obama's like, wherever she is, homegirl is minding her own business.
Right.
She's not even part of the zeitgeist of it. She's not even current. That joke is like funny from like 10 years ago.
Right.
And so,
if it was even funny then, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, she's got a big.
The thing is, there wasn't a joke to it. It's just him being mean. And when a bully is just being mean, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, well you're gay," and he couldn't think of something clever to say. And it might have been funny if he had said something clever. Right. And I feel like I'm laughing more that someone would be stupid enough to say that,
right,
than the actual joke itself. And of course, what did he do, though? What did he do? This idiot gave fuel to the libs to say, look at these savages. Look at the way these savages are. And so the next morning, all we see on the news is that clip.
Yeah.
That clip. It wasn't the fighters being loving to each other at the end of the fight. It wasn't fighters praising Jesus at the end of their fight. It wasn't any of that. It wasn't the camaraderie of the crowd. The fact that there was so much love and respect towards people in service.
Right.
This country. None of that is shown. It's this idiot who has to be center stage for the naysayers.
You know what's crazy about that too, my brother, and very well said, is just this, right? Bro, you're corny, man. I do predict that 2027 will be the end of the quote-unquote edgelord internet personality. Like, the frog meme, the groypers, all that stuff, that's all going to exist. But people who aren't sincerely like on that type of groyper energy, they're going to get found out, right? Because these people are too paranoid to really think that you're one of them. They think everyone's a plant. So
they're ready to turn on anybody.
Just because you come up there and you diss Michelle Obama, who is this for? Who is this for? This is the same problem I had with Cody Garbrandt. I don't know if you remember who he is. Welterweight, perennial welterweight contender in the UFC, and he was a Trumper, like through and through. Actually, pretty sad he didn't make it on the card. I think he was up to fight Bo Nickel, or the rumor was he was going to fight Bo Nickel. But everything he did was corny, and it's like, is this how you're representing the conservative party? Like, I get it, you guys, we've been repressed. We can't say what we want, right? But guys, come on, it's been 4 years. I'm sorry, 8 years of you being able to say whatever you want on the internet. No one's monitoring your speech anymore. You won. You don't even know you won is the crazy part.
Right.
But we move on. I think it was
Lewis, by the way, for that fight, Lewis, it was clear that he's like on his way out of his career. He's had a good career. He's had a good run. Yeah. And it was just evidence that it's like, okay, it's time to hang it up, bro.
You know what's crazy about that? Donald Trump actually reached out to Dana White and said, why is Derek Lewis not on the White House card? Because they've had like a very bromance situation, Donald Trump and Derek Lewis. You know, he's always shouting them out. And famously, he knocked out this Russian fighter who he had been losing the entire fight, Derek Lewis was, and he knocked the Russian fighter out. And he said, you know, I had to go in there and handle business for my boy Trump. So clearly he's not up on geopolitics either. But, you know, shout out to him, man. I just, you know, Hulkin, you're an idiot, but you are a talented fighter. So one of those things is going to carry you along the way. Either you're going to become the fighter that wins and talks some trash that we all cringe at, like Henry Cejudo, or eventually you're going to get knocked out. You're just going to be that mouthpiece.
You know what else I think he was trying to channel, but just not in an intelligent way. He's not doing it correctly. He's trying to be like McGregor.
Yeah, no, you got to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, exactly,
guy, bro. You got to be that guy. So then we move along, my brother. You know, it's still a good night of fights thus far, right? So we finally get the Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Firas Zahabi's brother.
Right. The Canadian, right? It was the dude was a Canadian dude.
So this is no disrespect. I want you to give your 2 cents. So a little bit about Zahabi, right? He is a coach, and he's an amazing coach. He and his brother have coached George St. Pierre, a bunch of guys out of TriStar, right? Just a dynamo with that. And he's having success in his own career. I would not have put him up against a hungry Sean O'Malley who's trying to fight his way to the belt, because if your strategy was just leg kicks and you weren't going to deal with, like, Sean O'Malley can strike, bro. I don't think people understand. I think people are too stuck on boxing, and I used to be that way too. I'm like, it's not as clean and crisp. I'm like, yeah, this is really deadly striking. Like, Sean O'Malley can strike.
Oh my God, he's incredible. You know, it's funny. I don't know. Sean O'Malley has all the recipe for a fighter I wouldn't like.
I could tell.
He's got the pink hair. He's skinny. He's lightweight. For a while there, I used to call him Jigglyfoot. Because if you notice, like, when he kicks, when he does leg kicks, his feet jiggle around like he doesn't have a stable ankle or something. All these annoying traits that I'm like, I don't like this guy, but for some reason I love him.
Right.
I love the kid.
Yeah, I was on him, man. It was another round 2 TKO, very slick looking. I'm having a good time right now, man. I mean, yes, I was on my phone. I'm looking at stuff. I'm texting people while the fight was going on. But I'm like, man, this is going off without a hitch. No tropical storm showed up. There wasn't a dispersal. And now I get to talk to you about something that you might find really interesting. Do you know who Sean Strickland is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know Sean Strickland was banned from this event.
I did not know that.
Yes, he was banned from this event for saying something about the little hats. And that got him promptly removed from even being able to attend the event, the middleweight champion. So Sean Strickland decided to show up to the early warm-ups, or to the early sessions where everyone was just chilling, having a good time. You can tell everyone had been drinking. They had been there all day. And he's just walking past the fans. He's like, hey, be cool, be cool. He's got his hoodie on. Be cool. And like the fan is starting to realize it's him. He's like, be cool. And then he just breaks and he gets into a ring that they had set up there. And everyone's cheering. Yay, hooray for Sean. Bro, the cops, so many sheriffs came out of nowhere, bro, and escorted him off. The man caught a disorderly conduct charge.
Oh, my God. It's hysterical.
Yes. So all types of, like, as this is happening in the White House, still the same shenanigans going on. Little hat, you say something bad about the little hats, you promptly get removed from the event. Then we get to Alex Pereira, middleweight champion, light heavyweight champion, tries his luck at going up to become the heavyweight champion against Cyril Gane.
Oh, yeah.
So this is why I didn't like this fight, my brother. The times I've seen Pereira struggle have been against guys who have been career kickboxers or Muay Thai fighters. So I don't know where this narrative came from that Cyril Gane's a punk. Like, yeah, he lost to
What are you talking about? He used to be heavyweight. He's heavyweight again.
No, he's like interim champion. Right. People think he's soft, but I'm like, bro, the people he's lost to have been Francis Ngannou and John Jones.
Right.
If those are the 2 losses on your record,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But let me let you go. What did you think? What were you thinking when you were watching the fight?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always been a Cyril Gane fan. just because I tend to rep France a lot. I know I make fun of French people a lot, but my mother's French, so I can do that.
I'm one of them.
And so no, it is funny. He showed his French arrogance when he won, though. You could see that he had like a disdain for us Americans. He's sitting there with his belts, and it's so funny when he goes down there. Every fighter except for him immediately went for Trump, right? They're like, I'm going to go over and say hi to Trump and all that stuff. Right. He's saying hello to everyone and their mother. Trump stands and he doesn't immediately give him attention. He's giving everyone around Trump attention and then he gets to him. And I was like, typical Frenchman.
He didn't bend the knee. He didn't pay homage. Bro, can I just say something, man? So if you go up from light heavyweight to heavyweight now, unless you're John Jones yourself, where it's like you're so good at winning fights that you don't have to really worry about your physique because your mind is your most deadly weapon. Do you know what was the most highly talked about thing on the internet?
When his little chubs.
His chubs, and apparently the women were very attracted to the junk in his trunk. Like women posting, like, "How do I get gains and gams like that?" I'm like, ladies, you're ruining this. You're ruining it. Wrong attention to the wrong thing, man. But he got starched. Now there is some controversy with the fight, my brother. So after Cyril got him up against the cage, hit him with the 1-2, and then Pereira went down. Bunch of headshots behind the back of the head. People are not happy with that. They are calling Cyril Gane a dirty fighter, obviously because of what happened in his last fight against what is this guy's name? The Brit that's the heavyweight champion. Doesn't matter. Oh, Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall got poked in the eye by Cyril Gane in their fight, and Cyril was piecing him up a little bit prior to the poke, but now Tom has undergone a bunch of surgeries to address this. So people don't like the Frenchman. They think French people are dirty. They have dirty nails, dirty And then finally, the fight of the night, man. The reason we all showed up, Ilia Topuria coming back to reclaim his belt, to unify the belt with Justin Gaethje after Ilia Topuria's whole divorce shenanigans. This guy is from Spain. He doesn't know. You don't marry women from Miami. Am I right, Berlin? Yeah, like if you met her in Miami, leave her in Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like don't be wife to this woman up.
Yeah, you can't make a Miami girl a housewife.
So this fight was supposed to be like Justin Gaethje was a dog in this fight. He was the underdog. No one gave him a chance, but it's because of what Ilia Topuria has done, man. He knocked out Volkanovski, he knocked out Max Holloway, he knocked out Charles Oliveira. Justin Gaethje is a guy that gets hit. And he's an amazing fighter, but that's his whole style. It was like watching an old Shaw brother kung fu movie. You know when you beat up on that one kung fu character and he just starts drinking the wine and you realize you hit him this whole time? The fight was insane. It was absolutely
good, yeah. It went 4 rounds.
Bro, he hit Ilia Topuria with so many jabs in the first round. And I need to know this, man. Is the thing that you're so used to being dominant that the minute you see your blood, it's like a Rocky movie. Like Ilia Topuria's like, I did not know I could bleed. He drops Justin Gaethje with a body shot in the second round, and then some of the lowest IQ stuff I've ever seen in a fight. I mean, the guy would kill me in a fight. Ilia Topuria, instead of doing ground and pound, decides it's a good time to go for a sitting triangle, and then an armbar attempt, and gassed himself out. Yeah. To a refreshed Justin Gaethje, who has said on the record, Mantis, his true superpower is being autistic and not being able to be hurt in the fight. And Justin Gaethje starts beating the brakes off this dude. And then, oh my goodness, then they have an inexperienced doctor who's like, so I don't know who the bad guy in this scenario is. The doctor that tried to save Ilia Topuria or the doctor? Right. Let them fight.
So here's the thing. I mean, it's tough because those doctors can get in trouble if they let someone who shouldn't keep fighting fight. Yeah, right. They could get in serious trouble. But I thought it was funny that he was like, no, we got to call this right now. And like, everyone was like, the ring guys and all these people like, let them fight. And of course I was like, let them fight. I want to see more. And I have to hand it to him. Like I really respect that he continued to go out there.
Yeah,
and he too was gung ho. He's like he couldn't see. My man couldn't see.
he didn't stop fighting. Everyone's saying he quit, but it's just like your body. Once upon a time, Robbie Lawler fought Rory McDonald, right? And this is a famous fight. Go look it up. Their second fight with these guys, Mantis, they put damage on each other. Robbie Lawler's lip was split. Rory McDonald's nose was pushed in, and this was from high level and striking and brawling. Same situation here, man. Like your body can only take so much. But shout out to Ilya Taporia's corner, his brother, saying, "Man, just." We're gonna finish this fight, and then they had to call it, man. You could tell that there was maybe a broken orbital. I'm not a doctor, but
there was some bone protrusion out of his cheek. I mean that poor guy. I have to hand it to him. He went the distance, and this is what the sport is.
Yeah,
that is what separates those who make it and those who don't, and that's what all sports have to have. That.
Yep.
They have to have that thing that they're like, well, will he go another round? Because winners go the other round. And that's the point of this. And that's what we're here to watch. So I respect that he wanted to keep going, but you're right. Sometimes your body just gives out, man.
It is. And if you sparred or anything like that before, there's certain things you can get hit with, man, that will instantly shut down the toughest dude, man. I can take a punch, brother. I can take an ass whooping. I got kicked in the liver once, and it wasn't even full force, and I was done. Like went down in sparring, like I couldn't even will myself back up. That's how much it hurt. So I got to give a shout out to Justin Gaethje, 38 years old, man. Finally, he's been interim champ before. Just seeing him get that belt wrapped around him, man. He came from World Series of Fighting. This is a guy who had been typecasted. I was one of those people who had just labeled him as a no talent brawler, man. And I just started believing the Gaethje truth as I watched his career. I watched his striking become cleaner. I watch him become more intelligent, but man, he's got that thing that all fighters need to have. He's got a dog in him, man, and he was not going to let this kid embarrass him out there.
Right.
And it was just amazing to watch, man. Amazing to watch, brother.
And I have to say, it's so funny. Gaethje was the most excited to win.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you see that? He was so happy to meet Trump. He was meeting all his whole family. He was talking to his sons. Mm-hmm. He was talking to Ivanka. He was like all over, he was like, "Oh, my mom needs to meet you to his wife, to Melania."
Super sweet.
It was super sweet. Yeah, it was really cute. But a great night.
Great night. Controversy though when we woke up in the morning. So Daniel Cormier, one of the ringside announcers,
right? His DC.
His ex may have gotten out. Real quick, I want to acknowledge everyone over in chat. D Love, DT Dub, Berlin, Carmen, thank you for participating over in Rumble. Low,
everybody. Our Mortal Kombatians.
So Daniel Cormier received a message from someone that's supposed to be one of Trump's sons, the blonde one. And it's basically, hey, how you doing, DC? Looking forward to meeting you, blah, blah, blah. And the sum total of it was this is supposed to be DC responding in the message on IG. And it's, it turns out that it's either AI or something's going on there. But essentially in the conversation thread, initially, it looks like Donald Trump's son asked him, who do you think is going to win? And Daniel Cormier is like, oh, I think this person, blah, blah. He's like, who are you going to bet on? And he's like, well, I'm not allowed to make bets because the UFC employees and fighters aren't allowed to bet on the fights anymore or give advice on betting. And then the next part is, and this is where it got fishy to me, the person that's supposed to be Donald Trump's son is like, well, the fights are rigged. Who's going to win? And so it blows up into this thing. Apparently, DC's account reposted the whole conversation and everyone's like, see. DC later responded and said, how stupid can people be? It looks like his account got hacked, but now that's also added a layer of controversy on the whole thing. But you alluded to in our green room conversation that someone keeps winning. It looks like nothing's going to stick to the Teflon Don because as much as the internet chatter is trying to get this whole UFC 250 so rigged thing going, it's not picking up steam because the fact of the matter is you can't stage that type of stuff, bro. You can't.
No, you cannot stage the drama that we saw last night. You cannot stage it. Here's the only accusation I could see possibly is the Lewis's performance. There were times where I was like, he was so sluggish. I was like, bro, move. Have some urgency. Someone's kicking your ass right now.
That means you just haven't watched the Derek Lewis fight. Sometimes you might get a flying knee. Other times it looks like he's waiting for ice cream to show up.
Like, what is going on? But I certainly don't think it is. I certainly, that's not what I think it is. But if anything, but all the other ones, there's no way you can fake any of that stuff, particularly in injuries.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's not sticking, man. The narrative when I woke up this morning, my algorithm should have been bombarded with liberals destroying this event. It was drowned out by two things, my brother: historic event and amazing fights. Even the most liberal of MMA commentators, and I don't hold this against him, Luke Thomas, Ariel Helwani, they both had to say, man, the UFC and Trump really pulled this off. That when it's a W, it's a W. And Berlin wants you to say it with attitude. He got that dog in him. He got that dog. It's been crazy. The Knicks won the championship. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I shouldn't be saying this on live stream, but I'm going to call out of work on Thursday so I can go to the parade. Yeah, and I know everyone's like, Mantis, you're a basketball fan? No, I'm not, but I am a bandwagoner. The funniest thing I've seen is, you heard about the whole Elmo controversy?
Oh, what, the Elmo with the gold grill walking around New York?
So there's an official Elmo Twitter. Yeah. And so, and he said the night of that last game, he said, I hope both teams have fun. Oh. And so then somebody took a big Elmo doll and chopped off his head and hanged it from a lamppost and had a sign that says traitor. And the picture's been going around.
Berlin said the Knicks broke their curse. Not gonna lie, I'm happy for the Knicks East Coast. Yeah, man. Shout out to the Knicks, man. I'm a
53 years. 53 years.
I'm a Bulls fan, man. So my life has gone steadily downhill since the 90s. And in other ways, it's gotten better. I am married happily with kids, but when it comes to basketball, everything
my life has gone downhill. I saw a tweet and this checks out. Now, I don't want to ruin this for you.
What?
But somebody pointed out that if you take the Bulls logo, you flip it upside down, it looks like an alien fucking a crab.
Whoever made that meme, I want to be their 13th reason. I hope that everything goes wrong for them.
But we're not here to talk about the Bulls, but guys, check it out. Everyone in Rumble, I know you guys are looking it up right now. Just think about it. Flip it upside down.
It's been an amazing weekend, man. We had the Knicks game on Saturday. We had a UFC event on Sunday. Sports fans were blessed in every
World Cup, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, the World Cup. Soccer. I was watching some Brits who had to retract every nasty thing they've ever said about America. They got a YouTube channel, don't know the name of the channel, but they're basically a couple and they're going around visiting all the states, all right. in America. And they're like, man, we've fallen in love with America. We used to make fun of the patriotism, the flags. And as they've been traveling the country, meeting the people, I don't think they've made it to the hood yet, but they've just fallen in love with America. And apparently people coming over for the World Cup are having a very similar experience.
It's going all over all these viral things of people being like, I remember one guy was like, some dude, I don't know what country he was from, but he's like, I didn't know America had so much green. And he didn't think that we had plant life or forests. He thought it was just endless urban sprawl and like chain gangs fighting and stuff like that for food and resources.
I think it's warriors. Meanwhile, how can the Brits feel so superior to us when your country is basically eroding, right? You got Tony Robinson fighting for the last part of your country, and you got the nerve to friggin' look down on us.
The UK is essentially a failed state right now, and they just haven't realized it yet. But I mean, they're perpetually failing. They're ever since I got news for you, and I love it because in history class in the UK, they don't bring up the American Revolution. They brush over it. They go, and then the Americans rebelled and started, colonies left us, and they move on, right? But ever since then, you have been perpetual losers. Yeah. Even when it came to World War II. I guess your heart wasn't into fighting Nazis or something like that, but we had to bail you out because you can't handle your stuff in Europe. This current Ukraine crisis, it shouldn't be Americans. This is something Donald Trump ran on. Shouldn't be Americans fitting the bill to save the Ukraine. It should be the powers of Europe. It should be supposedly the UK if you're such big shots, but they don't have control over anything anymore, and they're just a joke. But they drink tea, so they're better than us or something.
Yeah, no, I've never been into that, man. I got friends from the UK, man, and whenever they call you a geezer, I'm like, that's funny. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not going to switch up my accent for you. None of that stuff, man. Screw that.
I mean, maybe if their people were a little more patriotic to their own country, their country wouldn't be such a shithole.
Yeah, and maybe if you would have put down William Wallace, if you wouldn't have done him so dirty. But speaking of that, man, quasi politics and all that stuff going on, man. I gotta say something, man. Your boy Elon Musk is also on the winning train. I don't understand how he's winning. Clearly, there's some satanic ritual going on.
There's no satanic ritual. It's called working hard. Okay, it's called working hard.
I'm trying to understand, right? So, two of your companies have massive debt, and I'm about to give him the biggest shout out. So, you roll the massive debt over, leverage it against a company that no one's quite sure what they do. We know they do.
No, okay. So I'll explain all of this, but keep going. Go on with your.
I mean, look, I'm just reciting what I read in Bloomberg and a few other trades, right? So you leverage the debt. That part is true. They combined the total debt into SpaceX, but now SpaceX is, I believe, the shares are going for $138 a share last time I checked, and now he's a trillionaire. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So here's what it is, and so this is what I have to do when I explain. When I have to
Were those three things I said incorrect?
No, you weren't incorrect. I'm not about to say you were wrong about anything you said. But here's what I'm saying. This is the misconception that people don't understand.
Don't mansplain to me, you chauvinist.
This is what I love to do, particularly at church, when they're like, "Why Space Force? Why did Donald Trump make a Space Force?" Right? And so they don't understand the world, right? So let me explain. Every year, all the companies, every company out there, the corporations, right? I guess your mom and pop's, companies don't do it. They spend more and more in space because more and more technology requires satellites usage. Yeah. And so when Elon Musk was like a super rich guy before he got Twitter, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, he's so rich. He's so rich." He didn't become rich by selling his cars. As a matter of fact, his cars are not very profitable. It's not a very profitable thing. His vast majority of his money was all SpaceX. It's all his work in space. He's making a ton of money in space, and even he's making a few billion. He's like, "That's just a few billion from a car company." But his real money is, his car company is his side chick. Yeah. Like it's like he has a hot side chick and everyone's looking at the side chick and they don't realize that he's got a wife at home who's really like cooking his meals and cleaning his house.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what it is. But people don't understand how valuable the future, not only space now, but how valuable the future of space is. That's why it was so important. It was so ridiculously important that we created a Space Force.
Yeah.
Because what it is we need to protect those satellites and we need to protect those things. But you have these Karens, these like liberal Karens in churches everywhere saying, "Why do we need a Space Force? What does he think this have? What are we going to do? Invade the moon?" No, you idiot. There's other things happening, but they're just not intelligent enough to understand how the current real world works.
What's the name of the internet he does? Starlink. Very important. Starlink.
Yeah, making so much money.
Let me tell you about Starlink, man. So we sell it at my place of work, right? And at least 3 times a day, someone comes in and I have to explain it to them like, "Hey, we just sell the physical unit. You have to go through them for your subscription." But because of Starlink, countries that would have otherwise been blacked out, and I have to choose my words carefully. Wait, we're on Rumble. It doesn't matter. We would not have been able to see some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Resistance to Islamic regime terrorism if it wasn't for for Starlink and having that signal. So I'm with you there, man.
Yeah, and after Russia did electronic warfare and disabled all of the Ukraine's internet, who gave them free internet? That would be Elon Musk.
Oh, I thought it was Samuel L. Jackson's character from The Kingsman.
Maybe it was secretly him, but
Russell Simmons.
But the point is that you make your real money in space, and he has proved it now with that IPO.
Yeah.
That now that has pushed him over. He's not, and guys, he's not worth 1 trillion. He's worth 2 trillion. So that's he's overperforming right now.
If I'm Elon, right, I'm taking all the robots, right? Here my plan, right? Stop me if it sounds like a video game we played in the past. I take the robots, right? Take no jobs from Americans because I don't want an uprising. I send the robots to terraform Mars. Don't check in on them for a few hundred years. Maybe the robots start short-circuiting, but we keep sending them their programming to terraform Mars. Then we send the poor people to Mars to check on the progress of the robots for the robots to have only turned to murder bots, and they kill the poor people, but we don't get the signal. So then we send the rich folks to go start living in there. Do you like it? You like my plan or no?
It sounds like a good screenplay. Or a comic. Let's make it a comic, shall we? but people think that they're like, when he does things like when he created that thing that catches the rockets so he could reuse them, people are like, they're like, how much money can go into Mars bring us? It's not about Mars. Is like a long-term fantasy that everybody has, right? We all know that's not happening next year. It's all about satellites and GPS and bringing internet to the world that is making this man all this money.
Yeah.
And that's the future of warfare, is that when China is pissed at us, when Russia is pissed at us, they're going to go after our satellites. They're going to grow after our ability to use the internet. And so we need a space force to protect that.
We got to be able to drop the needle from the satellite directly into their countries. No need to destroy the earth. I just want to drop this.
Rods from God. Rods from God. I love it. If that wasn't like an illegal weapon, it would be brilliant.
I love that was in a G.I. Joe movie. That's how I found out about that.
But it's like real. It's real. I mean, it's not supposed we don't have them. I think we have them. I think we have them. They're like floating out in space. That's neither here nor there. The question that I want to talk about, and once again, this is in the political realm, unfortunately, but another thing about him becoming a trillionaire. So whenever someone is successful, there's always going to be a roaming pack of foaming at the mouth haters following around. And so everyone's trying to say, well, look at all this money he has. He should give the money to us so we can be communists, so we can be socialists, we can fix all our problems, we can feed all the bums who don't work. What are your thoughts? Have you been hearing that? What are your thoughts on that?
I've heard that. And you're talking about the redistribution of wealth. So I have a complicated relationship with this conversation. I believe in ethical capitalism, right? So that means that I'm looking at whose ethics? Christian ethics. Surprise! I believe in Christian ethics. I don't know anything about Jewish ethics. I don't call myself. I don't know either. I don't know anything about Islamic or Buddhist ethics. I'm sure they exist.
There are none.
Dominant ethics.
It was a joke, guys. It was a joke.
The dominant ethical system that I think will benefit the world is a Christian ethic, right? So I believe that there is a way for capitalism to work and not be predatory, but it has to be governed under a Christian worldview, where everyone has to pull their weight and every man and woman gets paid their wage. So when it comes to the redistribution of wealth, that's theft. No matter how much, no matter how you cut it, right? If I take what's yours without your consent, it is theft. No matter how you've used that money, no matter how weaponized you have, that is theft. So I'm not there. I do believe in ethical capitalism, right? I believe that everyone should have the opportunity to go for what they want. That doesn't guarantee the outcome that you want.
Right. Absolutely. And so, I just kind of said it. I said it earlier with somebody who has communist politics, earlier. But one of the problems, and it's not just about this issue and all these things like that, is I just think that like people nowadays, as opposed to the olden days, right? They have an inflated sense of ego. And they are not happy in their lot in life. Now, here's what I'm saying. What do you do if you're not happy in your lot in life?
You complain.
You try to change it. You may work harder. You may say like, oh, if my job doesn't like me, you know what? I'm going to find a better job. I'm going to move up. You do something to better your situation. But what I'm saying right now, and this is dickhead mantis, but that's what I'm here for, right? That's what you guys tune in, right? Is that they're just people who haven't proven that they're able to do upward social mobility, but they're sitting there saying, I could run these companies better than anyone. You know who shouldn't? Elon shouldn't have $2 trillion. Me, I'm a waitress, but I should have it, and I'll use it better than him.
Right.
And it's a totally absurd thing. Like, everyone thinks they're a king and queen. I know the joke is everyone's like, in the black community, they think they're all kings and queens. No, it's not a black community thing. Everybody does. You think that these poor white people think they're kings and queens? I promise you.
Oh man,
it's equally diluted.
One of the greatest memes I ever saw was right after the whole DEI controversy. It was like, now that we got rid of this DEI, it's a redneck, and he's like, I'm gonna go get me one of those high-paying tech jobs.
Yes, exactly right.
I mean, so I have delusions of grandeur, just like any normal person who works a 9 to 5. And I often think about, if I had $1 trillion, what would I do with my money? Not being compelled, because of my ethical system, the system of ethics in which I'm governed by, which is Christianity, my Christian belief. I would use a majority of my money to better suit my neighbors, right? What does Jesus say? You did not offer me water. You did not do for the least of these, so you did not do for me, right? It's a paraphrase, folks. Take it easy. But it's just what I would be compelled to do, right? I cannot forcibly compel someone to do something with their money, right? But like I told a coworker the other day who was it's a complicated situation, but he believes that there's some racism, some implicit bias going on at work. And there's evidence that might be true.
Okay.
What I told him, and it's very loose evidence, can't prove any of it, right? But
it's hard. It's a hard thing to prove.
It is. But when
your boss is prejudice.
Yeah. And actually, my immediate boss is an amazing guy. I'm not accusing him of anything. This is just the reports of one of my coworkers. But what I told him was, hey, man, it's up to us then as black men to excel at our jobs. That gives us every other motivation we need to excel, so we then can keep the doors open for other people. Instead of, and I just got passed over for a promotion. I'm steaming hot, bro, but I still got to get up and go to work every day. And that still remains true, that when I ascend, I'm taking people with me if they've earned the right. I'm not opening the door for nepotism. Right. I'm opening the door for people who are capable behind me and making sure it stays open for them. And that's how you have to have that mindset, or at least that's what I think, bro. Like, communism is not going to get us out of this problem. I've said this to a bunch of black people. I'm like, if you communism is the answer, bro.
But someone who's given into communism, you are out of ideas, bro.
Yeah,
you're out of all the ideas you could do to try to do social mobility. That's the one you go with. I mean, come on. I mean, obviously, we believe, in property rights, right? You should be able to own stuff. And I love how they believe in property rights, except for the rich. Right. Like, they don't. Here's what it is. They will come home and they will complain about taxes and like, look, the government, I make almost nothing and the government's taking my stuff. Well, would you like the government taking more than their fair share of stuff if you had money?
Right.
I mean, right.
I'm in total alignment with you on this. You and I have had some contentious conversations about this topic, right? But I always like to qualify it before it. If you guys have been watching Fanboy for a while, you notice I put my head down. I'm like, you're going to make me assume the position of the people that we're actually at odds with, because I just want to make sure the viewpoint's represented correctly. But in actuality, I agree with you, man. The only way to defeat the disparity that you see in power and wealth is to commit to getting power yourself.
Right.
Now, me saying that does not mean I'm not acknowledging that there are roadblocks, there are systems in play, all of it. I'm acknowledging, I will concede that point. But let's look at it from Justin Gaethje's viewpoint. Okay. Justin Gaethje was supposed to lose that fight. If you're telling me that as a black man, I'm supposed to lose this fight, do I go in with the mindset that I'm going to lose, or do I show up like Justin Gaethje and say, I am going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that I don't lose? The job I just lost, my brother, I didn't lose it because I wasn't qualified. I lost it because the powers were against me. Right. They had to tell me that. They were like, no, the job was yours. This was a call from on high. Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm just gonna ball up and die. You gotta keep fighting. You got to keep pushing on. My favorite line in the Bible is 3 words: be a man. It's like, bro, yeah, man.
I absolutely love it. Be a man. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful.
It's a biblical call. It's literally in the Old Testament. It says, be a man.
Right.
But go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant. I'm just saying, welcome in Pink Princess. Of course, she's got her hashtag fangirls for fan boys. Love it. We're talking about Elon Musk and the haters and people who are pissed that he has money, he's making money. So, people always have to hate on that, and particularly the commies. The commies are already trying to spend his money.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a million churches this Sunday are going to be giving sermons about some redistribution of wealth. Ideas will be up in there, and people will be like, think of all the fresh produce you could get with that money.
Can I blow your mind on something, man? I went to mass yesterday. Go ahead.
Well, no, finish your.
I went to mass yesterday, and do you know what mass was about? I went to church. And you know what mass was about? It's going to blow your mind, right?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was about the resurrected Christ, the Messiah.
I did not see that one coming.
And I'm not used to this, brother. I'm not used to church being politically charged in the right way. It's like, hey, the victory is won in Christ. We are image bearers of the one triune God, and we should treat each other accordingly. And I was like, wow. This is amazing. The father didn't get up there and say, hey, we have to fight for women's rights or Eskimo rights. No, we are all image bearers of God, and we need to act accordingly towards each other. Now go out there and do it. That was the next thing that blew my mind. When the order, when the eulogy was done, right? I'm sorry, not the eulogy, the liturgy, when it was done, there's a call to go out and live your faith.
Yes. I do love that about Catholic services.
Like, go out and live your faith. I'm not saying it's not present in Protestant churches, but church next Sunday should be, let's talk about our risen Lord, how his resurrection has changed us, and how we will share that truth with other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what it is ultimately all things on this earth don't belong to us. They belong to God.
Right.
And anything we own, anything that we think we own, we're stewards of it. We're actually a steward. God put us in charge of it. And so God has put Elon Musk in charge of $2 trillion. Not any of these haters or these annoying people, right? And so the idea is like, you're not going to be a better Christian by robbing a rich man and then handing it out to all these people, right?
Nope.
And straight up on the Elon, and I know a lot of people are like, man, this is on the Elon kick. I admit I am a fan, but I will say this: I can't stand when people act like he's some evil tech villain. He is a charitable man, and I'll give you this: him buying Twitter and turning it into X was an act of charity. It was an act of like shenanigans, but it was also an act of charity because he was worried about the public good, the town square, and freedom of speech. And he spent $44 billion, not of his company's money, but out of his own money to do it. Yeah. When our Congress decided to stop paying TSA agents, he offered to pay their salaries out of his own pocket. He was like, I'll do it. Turned out it was illegal and he wasn't allowed to do it because it's tantamount to like a bribe or something. So legally a third party can't pay for their things, which is messed up. But he at least attempted that. He attempts these sorts of things all the time, right? And so he does think about the public good. I don't believe he to be a true Christian, or I don't think he professes it to be a Christian. So, he doesn't have the Christian charity in his heart, but I'm saying from where he is standing, he does believe in the public good, and he does use his own money in attempts to make the world a better place.
Let me read you a comment. That is 100%. Berlin says sometimes doing a good thing isn't a good thing. Learn that from the Bible when one of Jesus's disciples tried to save him and stop him from being crucified. I think it was Peter. You are absolutely correct. Peter tried. Peter pulled out a sword and chopped the man's ear off.
He was a G. Peter was a G. I'm not gonna lie.
If you're ever looking for some funny times on the internet, look up the memes of people doing their impersonations of Peter, like people disrespecting Jesus in front of Peter. Also, Peter did deny the Lord 3 times, which gives you a great juxtapose. And I love the point you just made there, Berlin. Often the loudest people, I will not forsake you. I will not turn away from you. I am the high epitome of moral fiber, are the people who will turn the quickest when the chips are down. I agree with you 100% in what you just said, man. God has given him that money to steward over it, and he will be held to account for what he does with that, right? The master will call for his talents. What did you do with my investment? That's going to be Elon's cross to bear,
right?
To carry. Your cross is your immediate sphere and what you do with what God gave you to steward, right? How you treat the people in your life. Bex hit me up the other day, and some well-meaning Christian said some dumb stuff to her in regards to self-betterment. And this is what I'm talking about in complete biblical literacy and the topic we're talking about here right now. You have been given your life to be a steward over because it's owed to God. There will be an account for what you do with it. Stop worrying about what everyone else is doing unless it directly causes you to sin or bring the world into sin. Now, if Elon Musk starts getting up on X and saying that we have to praise things that we shouldn't praise, I will be the first one in line to call him out. When it comes to his own personal pocket, that has nothing to do with me, bro.
Absolutely. Amen. Absolutely. Amen to that. And that is absolutely true. In that parable, remember, the master gives his servants different amounts of talents.
Yep.
And he didn't give them all equal amounts. He gave them different things, but he gave them different talents and different amounts of talents, and they were expected to make those talents grow. And so you're right. This is Elon's cross to bear. We have a different cross to bear. You know, God has given you different duties, different challenges, and it might not be to be a trillionaire. And you know what? I'm okay with that. If I don't ever become a trillionaire, I think I can live with that. Or at the end of the day, die with that, right?
Boom. Could you die and still be content in the Lord? Could you, you know what I'm saying? Like, could you die and never having reached the pinnacle of the daydream that you've created in your mind and be content with what God gave you, and how did you steward it? Berlin said, imagine if he started giving out money, talking about Elon all willy-nilly, and people started looking at him like he's their savior. Exactly. St. Augustine says the human heart is an idol-making machine, and it's never idle at making idols. I believe it was. And that's a good point, man. People start doling out money, and then you start looking at them like they're the ones that saved you, man. And it's like, bro, no, you missed the whole point, man.
Just like that communist mindset. Yep. They have deified the government, and they think the government is going to save them, will be their savior. And even if a government had its funding and it's like, we'll pay for your food every day or whatever, sure, it can feed the body, but not the soul.
Right. So it's a good point, man. It's a good point.
But as long as we're heavy on the Christian, I remember it's funny that we started on Fight Night and we're on to heavy Christianity. Let's talk about this whole Allie Beth Stuckey thing going on. Have you heard about this?
You put me up to it on the green room. What's going on over there?
So basically, I don't know if you know that the Southern Baptist Convention is currently trying to amend their constitution to make sure that it is clear that women can't be pastors, right? And so now this big discussion throughout all these Baptist circles are going on. They're talking about women as pastors. It's pretty funny. Me and you have had some very passionate conversations about this very topic and stuff like that. And so one particularly Southern Baptist guy on his AM radio show, he's like, well, what about these YouTube female Christian educators? They are acting like pastors, and they are kind of sliding under the rule set where they're kind of like acting as pastors but pretending they're not, and they're like, well, I'm not a pastor. I only have 3 million followers. Right.
What I mean? So it's a different type of ministry. My response to this has always been this, right? If the Bible clearly stated that women were ordained to be priests, then I would be in support of it. If it doesn't, then I'm not in support of it, right? And if you're a Protestant, you should fall on those same lines because you claim to be sola scriptura. You don't adhere to any traditions. Now, we can go to passages where you talk about people like Phoebe, and then you go to, judges where you have a woman. I always forget her name. She's a
Deborah or Devora, but became Deborah.
But these were the Deborah thing is a very unique situation because it actually had to do with the failure of men versus the elevation of a woman as a leader and what Deborah was called to do.
I buy that. That is true that in that story, the main guy who was supposed to be doing his job was not doing his job because he was a cowardly fool.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to Ali Beth Stuckey and female influencers and their public ministries, I do not see that as corporate worship. Gathering the ecclesia as the church, whether you believe in the visible church as the Orthodox and the Catholics do, or the invisible church as Protestants do. What I see that as a public ministry, and as long as they're not inserting themselves into the position of pastor, they can teach. There's nothing that says women can't disciple other women. There's nothing that says women can't be evangelists. Some of the greatest saints in the church have been women, aka Saint Teresa, who was a counselor. She was actually a proto-reformer in her own rights, but she was a counselor to popes, right? She told a pope, I'm paraphrasing, but she was basically like, get back over there and fight for what's right. Get this fake pope out of there and you get back on the seat. You can count on a woman doing that for sure. I have no beef with Ali Beth Stuckey except for her anti-Catholic views, but at least she's consistent in her views on the papacy. I can respect that. I don't have a problem with that. The thing with the Southern Baptist Convention is I've had a beef with them when they said they didn't want the Nicene Creed in there, man. This is a very confused
right,
man. And I think this is good for Protestantism, to be honest with you. Go for it.
Matt Cat says, I never follow a woman. Welcome to the game. Welcome to the battle, Matt Cat. So, I don't know if you know Ali Beth Stuckey, Matt Cat. She's a pretty big deal Christian educator but for her YouTube channel. And so very recently the Southern Baptists are talking about whether, because the Bible, or should I say, St. Paul specifically said women can't be overseers, they cannot be pastors, right? Yeah. And so people raise the question, they're like, well, what about these people who have massive YouTube followings and they're women and they're acting like pastors, right? And so I'll tell you this about Ali Beth Stuckey, because I think she is consistently not only really intelligent, but I think that she you're always talking about consistency and belief and all these. I think she's so consistent. And she even said in that episode, she said, if I walked into a church and there was a woman pastor up there talking, I would not stay in that church. I would leave. Yeah.
She 100% would.
yeah. And so she does believe that. And she's trying to say, she's like, originally I started this YouTube channel to talk to women. Yeah. Even her gatherings, what is it called? Share the Arrows. Yeah. That is directed toward women. She wants women it's only for women to attend. Yes, right?
Equip them in apologetics and equip them, encourage. I have no problem with that at all. Continue.
Yeah. But here's the thing. However, the way that I see it is, I do feel like some of these people are like I view them as my side pastors, right? And so right, and so if I'm not getting it, if I didn't get a good message at church one Sunday, I'll then go home and be like, let me put on Mike Winger, let me put on Nate Sala. They can be more biblically accurate, you know what I mean? I've done it with Ali Beth, absolutely. I've definitely, she served in a pastoral role, having never met me before, but I would say she's advising me, right?
Okay, so I'm glad you used that word. So two things you said that I want to key in on. Hey, what up?
What up? JR in the house.
The two things that you said that you use the active word, the operative word, I, as in taking accountability that you have placed them in a pastoral role in your mind, but they have no station, right? So at least you can be honest there. Berlin said, I don't advocate for women pastors. I love women and all, but if a man is led by a woman, and we all know how visual men are, wouldn't that man inevitably start lusting or having lustful thoughts of that woman and become distracted from learning the word of God? I agree with that. That is 100% a possibility. I think also another thing is it's a heart issue, right? So there's a young lady who's on the Instagrams who recently has been gaining popularity on TikTok, Instagram. She's a real queen, right? She's a real Christian. And I don't mean real as in authenticity. I mean, she releases a lot of reels. And she recently came into some controversy because she called St. Paul into question, called him a fake apostle. Because
she went as far to say he was a fake apostle.
She said that, bro. Paul. She posted this on Instagram, then got called out by a bunch of Reformed people, and they're like, "Hey, this is heresy. If you're calling into question the man that was charged," her initial claim was Paul never met Jesus. No one can verify that he met Jesus. This type of stuff. But that's obviously not true if you're reading the book of Acts. But my point is just this. This is where this becomes dangerous. That one woman could destroy women's ministry because she's ill-equipped to teach. Now, the real question we have to ask ourselves, is Allie Beth equipped to teach Christians? Women Christians. Let's just say women Christians. Do we trust her to do that? And that's
I do.
That's a question that the women who are going to her, is she consistent according to your Protestant views? Like, that's a question you got to ask yourself.
But the fact that the woman would say that, and so what is this woman implying? That she's saying that 13 books of the New Testament are just garbage and a scam, and we've been being scammed. The Holy Spirit has allowed us to be scammed for 2,000 years. That's her argument.
Yeah, and she called him a fake. Said he was a fake apostle, and it just shows that this is my problem, though, when people, and I don't put
put more details in the thing. We want to know more details. Oh yeah, but she just said it recently got ordained. Congratulations.
This is what happens when you have something like sola scriptura and private. I won't even blame it on sola scriptura. Private interpretation. The most dangerous thing I ever hear people say, or the scariest thing I hear people say, is God told me. The Holy Spirit led me. My truth. These are all things that have ruined my meal. I would literally.
You're putting my truth on the Holy Spirit led me? Are you serious? You're putting them on the same plane?
Yeah, because the Holy Spirit, according to her, led her to this conclusion that Paul was a fake apostle.
So, okay, so I need to immediately push back on what you're saying right now. So here's the thing.
I'm ready to go there.
So what it is everyone needs to have personal revelation and relationship and understanding with the Bible. However, that is why we're called to be in communities. So we call each other out. So if somebody's saying like, yo, the Holy Spirit has led me to have an affair and to blow up a building, their community will be like, bro, that's Satan you're listening to right now. You're lost. You're confused. And we remember it's Christian correction, right? Yeah. We correct each other, in the example of what Aquila and Priscilla had to, I forget the guy's name.
That's perfect. I'm glad you took us there, right? This is a problem that the Southern Baptist Convention, the Lutheran Missouri Synod, right? The Methodist Council, this is something you guys are going to have to work out. Because this is not a conversation that's just happening in the Baptist Convention. People are asking themselves questions. How did mainline Protestant denomination like Lutheranism, Methodist, the Stucky woman sounds like an agent of Israel, more than likely.
Probably, yeah.
How did these mainline Protestant traditions become so liberal? What happened to the church correction there?
So y'all tell you this right now. I'm going to say it right now. Men were not doing their job. So there are strong men faded back. And so let's talk about betas for a second. Let's talk about beta males.
Let's get back.
I'm saying beta males in terms of Christianity.
Wait, before we get there, let's talk about the Holy Spirit driven situations, right? These things, if Luther, Calvin, Zwingli, any of them were alive today to see or hear could you imagine someone walking up to John Calvin and said, I was sitting under a tree reading my Bible, and the Holy Spirit came to me and told me that these things are true. And it's like, well, no, you're going against a few thousand years of what's established doctrine. So
the first thing that I would say is and I think this should be obvious to anybody with half a brain, if you have two brain cells that are together. Right. The Holy Spirit is going to lead you, and you should go where the Holy Spirit is leading you. However, the thing that keeps you tethered is the Bible.
The Bible or the church?
Well, I guess both. Yeah, I guess they're both instruments of tethering. They're both instruments of tethering. But what I'm saying, don't forget. But here's where me and you would probably differ because you're a Catholic. Is that like I wouldn't say that my priesthood is there to tell me what to do. The Bible is there to tell me what to do.
So actually, even when I was classically reformed, there's a hierarchical structure, and even the invincible church. Your elders are there to help you understand what you're reading. Everyone has to submit to discipleship. There's a reason that Paul wrote that letter to Timothy. And he was like, hey, man, don't lay your hands on everyone. Lay your hands on people that
there's only one person who can disciple me, and that is the Lord Jesus Christ.
Show me that in scripture, because even Timothy, even the disciples discipled other people. This is mainline Protestantism. This is the fundamentals of Protestantism.
What I'm saying is, okay, so I'm gonna have a very mean. It's gonna be mean and it's gonna seem ill-spirited, but I'm a rough and tumble Christian like that.
Right.
The reason why a lot of people need discipling, and I love you. If you guys need to have disciples, that's all great. If you're discipling, you're being discipled or whatever. But a lot of times people are morons and they need things that are obvious explained to them, right? So somebody's just somebody's just like, well, why does night have to be dark? Can we change that? And then you'll be like, well, you're an idiot. Nature has made it this way, and this is how it's supposed to be, right? And we're seeing this, and I'm not going to get into what it is, but you know what I'm talking about, how people are not accepting nature nowadays.
I understand
that. They're that foolish, right?
Yeah.
So I would say sometimes people are very foolish, and they need someone to disciple.
I love you like a fat kid loves cake, right?
I do.
You are speaking from, and I'm going to use a trigger word just to make you angry. You're speaking from a place of privilege right now. When you came into the faith, you went through a catechesis process. I know you did because you told me about it, right? And that's the problem in Protestantism today, is that we don't have people being properly formulated in the faith, right? Now, this is not about Ali Beth Stuckey. This is about that other idiot that said Paul is a fake apostle. I'm like, you start saying stuff like that. You start opening the doors to the Mormons, the cults, to Islam. Do you know that Paul is Islam's #1 op? Even though there's the Islamic dilemma, no psychopaths can't tell you when the Bible is corrupt. It's only not corrupt when they wanted to validate it.
Right, when they want to recite it, right?
This is my point. I challenge any person here who calls himself a Christian. Go read the letters to Timothy, and you tell me if your church follows that process. Just read the letter.
Okay. Yeah, no. I feel you. It's actually funny that you say that, because at my church, this question has been come to risen. So this is children's confirmation standards.
Yeah.
And the question was, well, can my daughter join in and get confirmed, even though it's an 11-week class and she's only been here 3 weeks? 3 classes. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. No, that's not. And they're like, come on. And then people are like, Mantis, isn't there something you can do for her? And I'm like, I'm sorry, there isn't.
Remember we were talking about the crosses that to bear with the whole Elon conversation? In case you guys don't know, God has called Mantis, or we believe, I don't know. I don't have divine revelations and psychic readings from God being beamed into my brain. But you have been specifically placed, I believe, by God in a very liberal church to call them back to, I hate the term conservative Christianity. Let's call it what it is.
Right.
Christianity. Orthodox Christian. Mantis is over there in his church fighting for the fundamentals of faith.
I'm telling you, these kids know the Bible better than their parents, and they're probably in many ways probably more faithful than a lot of their parents. And I wonder whose doing that is. I'm not sure.
Christians need to be formed. They need to go through formation. And I can solve this thing here. It's a heart issue, was my original point, man. Whenever I hear a woman say that, I feel as if though I've been called to the ministry, I'm like, okay, I hear you. And I don't want to invalidate your feelings. I've been doing fanboy enough to know that you believe you have a truth that you need to share with the world. But if you can tell me by what authority you were called by, I'll be the first one to agree to you. Just show it to me. Make me a believer. Argue the point directly from the passages that have led you to there. And you know what the response usually is? It's just the feeling on the inside.
Yes. What is the common one they use? Oh my God, this one woman, a dear friend of mine, but she said something that was not biblical, and then I was like, well, that's not biblical, and she's like, but wouldn't you agree? It's more Christ-like to X, Y, and Z, and then therefore, respond to your feelings rather than the book.
There it is, man. I'm
right. And then I want to say my follow up. I'm trying to keep these people as friends too, but I want to be like, show me the part where Jesus says, and by the way, if any part of this book is stopping you from being Christ-like, just ignore it.
Right, exactly. Crazy. Over in the chat, Burles says, no offense to anyone, but I think weak men follow female pastors. And then D Love said, what's going on? Sorry, finally home, can listen in. And D says, seminary helped me tremendously to grow and understand my faith. I think seminary is very supplemental, and it's great in your understanding and growth, and especially for Protestants. I think if there's a more emphasis of understanding the church historic and church history, that helps greatly. Jay says, can you read that one, brother? I don't have my glasses.
She says, so JR, who just recently got ordained, says, I did it so that in case anyone needed an ordained minister to get married, I could help them out. My reasoning is because a lot of ordained ministers in Michigan are really strict with premarital stuff. It was difficult for me personally to find a minister that was willing and able to marry me and my husband. Oh, wow. Okay. Look at that. So do we call you Reverend JR now? How do you want to be referred to now? Do you have a business card or a plaque for your door? It says Reverend JR. Is it?
In what tradition were you ordained as well, JR? Listen, man, there are so few things that I feel like make me sound like Grumpy Mantis on the show, but this is one of those things when we start getting into talking about theology, it's because I'm a wretched sinner and I know I'm not better than anyone, but I always feel compelled to say, by what standard? Like the Bible study we used to do on Wednesdays. Yeah. I would sit there and I would listen. I remember after the election, everyone there was so happy Trump got elected. And I'm like, kudos. I understand why you're happy. But you know the one thing I didn't hear? How they were going to use this as an evangelistic tool to bring people to Christ. So I said that on the call. And I remember looking at some people and their faces were grimacing. I was like, hey, man, you know what this is? This is a great opportunity to evangelize those people that we think are unrepentant sinners over on the left. Or lest we forget that we are not that far removed from hell ourselves, but for the sacrifice of Christ. Who do you think you are? Get over there. Start evangelizing these people. Start telling them the truth. Come on, fanboy. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
So my whole thing with discipling, and I think what it is it's a trust issue. And you've actually called me out on this before, but like, remember how I always said, and I think it irritates you sometimes that I say like, no man can be trusted, and you're like, why? And I'm like, because they're sinners,
right?
And I'm always expecting that. So if I put my faith in a leader, I'm always like, when am I going to find out? When am I going to find out that trans hookers and cocaine is in your dressing room?
And that's one. I will never not understand that sentiment. I for real, I do understand it. In Hebrew, it tells us not to forsake the gathering. Christians come together, newer Christians come together with older Christians to be formed in the faith. Right now, that doesn't mean you believe your disciple like he's Christ. No, that's how we get Mormons. That's how we get Jehovah's Witnesses,
or any of these like mega church guys, or like I've been seeing these things. Mike Winger's taking down these fake psychics, fake prophets. They're basically doing the same like scam where that psychics do. Right? They're like, I'm sensing the name James. Is there a James out there? And some idiot raises their hand. There's so much of that going on that I don't want to put my faith, this is why I'm scared of discipleship.
I understand that, but that's why I said that. That's why I said to you, like, you're speaking from a place that most people wouldn't understand because you went through formation. Like, for instance, I'm not a Catholic yet. I am in what's called the discernment phase, right? At any point I could say, I don't want to do this anymore. I start OCIA classes in September. I attend mass every Sunday because I want to get into the habit of worshiping and without an excuse. I don't look
Right.
at church as a checkbox situation. I'm training my mind to remember there's no excuse not to go in church, to go to mass, to go to church on Sunday because we've been called to do it. But formation is what I need. Bro, I've been a Protestant for the better part of my 30s. And the one thing I never had was a consistent person to say, hey, be here to learn and understand. One of the things I hate most about Christianity today, right, and what people proclaim to be Christianity, is this: you have a religious spirit. Right? What are you talking about? What do you mean by that? Religion is bad. Spirituality is good. It's about a personal relationship with Jesus. I'm like, show me that in the Bible. You show me where it says the word personal relationship, and I'm right there with you. You are called to be discipled. You are called to be under authority. Now, that's the thing that Americans don't like. They hear authority and they're like, oh.
Right. And the very nature of being a Protestant is that we protest and we rebelled against the higher order, right?
Yeah.
So it's in our blood for me to be like, you don't tell me what to do, Mr. Priest, man. I do what I want.
But here's the problem, right? That's not how Luther saw the Reformation. And that's not how John Calvin saw the Reformation.
And I don't put Martin Luther on a pedestal though. This is so funny. I loved it. Like, remember when Tucker Carlson was trying to he was trying to attack the Book of Esther? Do you remember this? And he literally said, he was like, I mean, why are you even listening to the Book of Esther? You know, Martin Luther didn't even think it should be in the Bible. Martin Luther didn't like it. And he thinks by invoking the name of Martin Luther, the Protestants will just go, oh, well, if Martin Luther didn't like it, then that has validity.
I think the argumentation is that Protestantism doesn't even resemble what the original reformers intended. They never
well, I mean, they were definitely yeah. Then the modern average Protestant church in America, totally.
Well, you know what's crazy? Go ahead, read it.
She says, laugh out loud. No, it's not that serious. It was online. I got a quick certification. It was done through Universal Life Church. Yes. So I had a fraternity brother we called him Reverend Wheezy, and he had the same situation. And in the frat house, the idea was like, if you liked a girl, he would come over to the girl and be like, hey, you want to get married? I'm a reverend. I could marry you two right here at the frat party. And like, that was like,
I'm talking about. But to the original topic about my official opinion on Allie Beth Stuckey, not all
Minister.
of them.
She's Minister Jaylee.
Just Allie Beth Stuckey is that I believe that she's an evangelist, and I am comfortable with calling her an evangelist, and that's cool. That's cool. You want to, more power to you. You, the Great Commission, you are following it through. I do think she falls sometimes into the category of what I call secularist conservatism, which I think is an abominable sin. You cannot have conservative thought without Christ, or you just have more pragmatism.
So I will tell you this. Yes, I would say her, and I also think Michael Knowles. And it's funny, you'd be proud of me. I love Michael Knowles. I watch him more than anyone, right? Yeah. Big Catholic dude. But I will say, I do think that her and him are guilty of being ideologues for Trump.
Yeah.
And so Trump can do anything. And so don't get me wrong, I'm a Trump supporter. But what I am saying is, I do know that when he does something wrong, or when he does something stupid or something non-biblical, and I'm like, he needs to be called out on it. And they're always making excuses.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, what is first? Is the Bible first, or is your love for Trump first?
Well said, my friend. And I think you and I are in agreement about all this stuff, man. What it boils down to is a question of authority. So if you do find yourself,
What up, Rico?
If you do find yourself in a church with a female pastor, I want to put you on to a guy by the name of Redeem Zoomer. I showed you this guy. He's leading a movement called the Reconquista movement, where they want to reclaim the mainline Protestant churches from liberalism, right? And he said something interesting on a Gavin Ortland interview where he's like, hey, if you find yourself in a liberal church, stop me if this sounds familiar. He's like, I don't think you're called to leave that church because it's gone liberal. He's like, I think you're called to stay there and fight for it.
And you know what's actually funny? That old Bible study that we used to go to on Zoom, they said that to me. I was like, I was confessing to them. I was like, I was leaving my church. Yeah. And they were like, They're like, no, you should be there and you should fight. You should fight. You should fight for the truth.
Yeah.
Don't let them all. Don't leave them all to the enemy.
Yeah. And shout out to you, man. Shout out to you for real.
Honestly, and this is what I'm saying. The way I see discipleship, and maybe it'll come around because you grow as a Christian, right? I'm not the same Christian I was 10 years ago or 10 years before that, right? But I'm saying the way I see it is like, for instance, like I see you as, in a way, you disciple me and they disciple me, and I get pieces from different people. But I just find putting myself under the authority of a single individual is scary.
I hear what you're saying. And I was funny because I was talking to a brother of mine who I was trying to help with some other stuff, but I asked him a pretty poignant question one day, because he's in line to become he wants to become a pastor. And I said, well, whose authority are you under? Are you under your pastor's authority? And he's like, in some things. I'm like, well, does your pastor have the right to speak into your life? If there's, habitual sin, would you allow that to happen? Because if not, then you're outside of the bounds of what's considered Orthodox Christianity. There has to be someone to call you to account. And we disciple each other, right? You call me to account. I'll never forget, be very transparent. When my drinking was at its height, I remember you asking me, like, hey, do we have a problem here? And I'm like 4 boxes of wine in, and I'm like, no, you got a problem.
That's what a good friend was. What a good friend is for. But absolutely. So I don't know the gold statue he's talking about. What is Rico talking about? Did you see the gold statue?
What's up, boys? Y'all saw the gold statue, LOL. I thought that was a wow to put up in the White House. Oh, wait, what gold statue? Let me go look this up. Did Trump finally make himself a golden calf? That's amazing. Yeah, who's a great example of non-denominational evangelical Christianity? Even though I think he's wrong on the Trinity, is not wrong as in heretical, but Philip Anthony Morris, affectionately known by his detractors as Pam. Black guy, bald head, screams into the mic a lot. He said something that was really amazing to me one day, and I think it made a lot of like pseudo feel-good Christians very uncomfortable. He's like, everyone always talks about the personal calling that God has on their life. My personal calling. What's my calling? He's like, if you're a dad or a husband or a wife, he's like, I can tell you what your calling is. If you're a man and you're married, your calling is to be a faithful and loyal husband and lead your family. He's like, if you're a woman and you're married, your calling is to be a faithful, loving wife and nurture your family. And I'm like, man, yeah, that's it. That's the absolute truth. Like, stick to your immediate calling. Let's see, White House gold statue. You found it?
I'm seeing things about the beautification of Washington. I'm not seeing
Yo, what was up with the vampires on the White House lawn? Did you see that?
Vampires?
Yeah, I don't know if this picture is real, but it's a picture of Trump talking to what looks like the villains from the Twilight movies, the aristocrats.
Whoa! I mean, I guess vampires are rich. Vampires have money. I don't know. I see. It's outside the. So you're talking about the golden horse? Yeah. There's here's what it is. It was the horse got all like nasty over age because basically Trump is like beautifying Washington, right? And so he replated with gold flakes a horse statue. That was already there. He didn't make a new statue.
What's great? Get rogue up here. We do a conspiracy hour. I saw some great stuff on the internet the other day from some online apologists. This is a real question. Side note.
What is this gold statue?
Who has called all these people to be online apologists, and do they have authority? And are they running mini churches? That's a real question. But I find it interesting that almost in every town in America, there's a Lion Lodge or some of these old men lodges, and they're Masons. Have we gotten to the place in America where we just aren't acknowledging the Masons as a cult anymore? Or
we rarely look the way of many cults, right? Oh, so it's on a golf course. Okay, so there is a golden statue of him at a golf course.
Thank you, Rico, for that. I saw this coming.
Okay, and so in his defense, wait, I'm going to defend him real quick, just on the basis of what it was. He didn't put up the statue, so he owns the golf course. The people who run it did it and surprised him. They're like, surprise, we put up a statue of you.
Wait. Are you saying that some of his acolytes built a
I guess that makes it worse, right? I guess that might make it worse.
They're like, surprise. What do you mean? What's the big deal? We only come here every Wednesday at 12 o'clock exactly to stand in front of this thing.
Oh my God. So, I mean, I don't know. Statues are made of people. I don't know. I have to investigate before I make a call.
That's someone. I was on a podcast with a bunch of amazing Catholics the other day, and one of them you would have really liked, a young lady who was talking about how to reunify the traditions. That's her, her mission is she wants to be a part of unification between all the different Christian traditions. And, well, they were asking me as a new convert what some of my struggles might be. We were talking about the Eucharist, and I was like, Eucharist wasn't a struggle, and even the dogmas of Mary aren't as big a struggle as I thought they would be. I am somewhat struggling with something that's more in orthodoxy than Catholicism, which is the iconography, which is the saints and stuff like that.
Right.
And that the intent is not for these things to be worshipped. It's visual art to pull you into a deeper place of worship. Like, hey, these are heroes of the faith. That's all it means when someone is made a saint. But just like the Pentecostals who claim to be able to speak, a hidden angelic language, there are wacky people in every tradition. So every once in a while, if I see someone kissing the foot of a statue, I'm like, I don't know about that.
yeah. I mean, but what about prayers to saints? I don't get that.
Okay, so the prayers to saints. This is.
You know what? We should do this for another podcast.
Because that's on a constant rotation in my research, and I can see why some people aren't satisfied with the Catholic or Orthodox answer to this, which is just like in Old English when they say, "I pray thee, Roy, hear my words."
Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound good.
That you're not praying to Roy. That pray means to ask, and I can see where it's kind of sounds the same to me.
Right, exactly.
I'm not well versed enough.
Well, we digress.
What else we got to talk about tonight?
So entertainment, although this has been pretty entertaining so far. So you heard about all these Spiderman leaks?
Yeah, you told me about them, man. That's crazy, bro.
And so, here's what it is. I used to go to specific websites. Guys, let me finish. Specific websites to find leaked trailers, right? And they would usually be shut down super quick. Now I'm just hanging out on Twitter, and Spider-Man trailers I ran into it 4 times by accident, not searching for it.
Really? Are they any good though? Is my question.
Yeah. Here's what it is. I want a clearer one, because what it is they have a stamp over them.
Okay.
They have a digital stamp, and so I'm waiting for Marvel to, they've leaked already, so they might as well put it out. Just put out the regular trailer so I can see it in all its glory. The next one that's going to come out, supposedly the second trailer, it's dope. It's
I got one up right now. It looks like there's one with an extended fight scene with the hand.
It's extended.
Funny you bring up Spider-Man. If I asked you right now, and I am asking you, according to Fandango votes, what is the most anticipated movie coming out in 2026, 2027? What would you say off the top of your head?
Oh, I would say Spider-Man.
Wrong. You'd be wrong. Toy Story 5 voted on by Fandango fans.
There you have it. There you have Fandango fans. For starters, who actually goes on the Fandango websites and votes for things or makes comments or leaves star reviews? What kind of psychopath? You know who does? There's somebody who's more a suburban dad than even you.
Whoa, there's nothing wrong with the suburbs, man.
There's nothing wrong with suburbs or dads, but I'm saying there's some dude who's just like, you know what? I better get on Fandango and give Toy Story 5 4 stars. Who wakes up and does that? Not a sane person. So okay, I get it. So weirdos are super, and there's nothing wrong with liking Toy Story. Toy Story's brought us some great stories, but
right.
Spider-Man. The answer is Spider-Man.
Rico says, "What the f? Who even watches past the third Toy Story? I didn't know there was 5 of them. Apparently, Toy Story 4 is like the end game or Infinity War of Toy Story."
Yeah, I couldn't go that far. I couldn't go that far. Matt Cat says, "I love all the leaks."
Yeah, the leaks.
You see the Doomsday scene yet? So no, I don't want to see any of it, Matt Cat. So here's what it is. I saw the messed up, like I said, there's a stamp over the Spider-Man trailer, and I saw it and I regretted it. I was like, I wish I had seen it when it just came out.
Yeah,
like a clear version of it. So I hear what you're saying. An entire scene from Doomsday has leaked. I refuse to watch that.
I'm not going to do any leaks. I'm not doing any plot speculation for Doomsday. I'm going when we go see this movie, man, which is in December. Am I right? November or December?
Well, Spider-Man's next month. Spider-Man's July 30th.
That's fine. I'm talking about Doomsday, man.
Doomsday is December.
When we go see that, man, I want the same experience as when I went to go see Infinity War. I absolutely knew nothing about Infinity War when we were walking into it. I was just like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens.
So you know what happened with Infinity War and me? So I had given up on Marvel. I was like, back then I was like, here's what it is. I wasn't a hater, but I was like, okay, I'll see it when I see it. I'm not gassed. And everyone at my job went to go see it. And I didn't go with them. And the next day, it was the worst case of FOMO ever. They all come in the next day and they're like, yo, and they're all talking about it. And I said, guys, please don't talk about it around me. And it became this thing that anytime I'm coming to the office, they'd all shut up. And I look at them. I'm like, "Oh, you're talking about that movie, aren't you?" And they're like, "Yes." And I was like, And so as soon as my shift ended, it was a more later. This is when I was a manager at a gym. It was a later shift. I just jumped on the bus and I went and watched it by myself. And I was like, I can't believe I almost gave up on Marvel movies because that reinvigorated my love for this.
I went to go see it with my buddy Mac. Loved it. Went to go see it again. Because I had Movie Pass, so you could see a movie a day. So we saw it at 8:00. We were out of the theater by like 11. Then at 12:01, I was walking into another theater to go see it again, and I had to go at 6 in the morning. And I stayed out till like 3 in the morning watching movies.
It was so good. It was so good. Matt Cat says Toy Story 4 was effing dog poop.
It's great. Matt does movie night with his kid, and I know that's not only just his opinion. Matt, did your kids hate it too? Because I would love to know their reviews on some of the movies you guys watch on movie night. He does the whole thing where he does the.
I'll tell you right now, I've had a very robust 2026. I've actually been to the theater more than this year, more than definitely last year. But like, I go almost every weekend to a movie.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing it all, Backrooms, Obsession, He-Man, it has been a good year for movies. It has been a freaking good year for movies.
Obsession sounds too bizarre for me. Disclosure, did you see that?
So that's the one I haven't seen yet, and I'll probably see it this weekend. But Disclosure Day, because here's what I'm saying: it doesn't look good. It doesn't, but obviously, me and aliens, aliens. Yeah. I mean, so it's if there's aliens in it, like if we're really talking about the conspiracy to hide this 70 years of disinformation about aliens, I'm all about that, and so I would love to see that. Unfortunately, it looks like a boring ass movie.
Anyone that's done a review on it, whether it's regular reviewers or Christian reviewers,
so check it out. Obviously, I saw Grace Randolph's. She said a bunch of stuff, and then I told my sister, right? And then my sister went, and my sister said Grace Randolph doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
Really?
So,
well, that's true on any day, but
right, any given day. So she, Grace gravitated to certain issues about it, and then apparently my sister didn't feel that was the case, and she felt it was a bad spoiler review.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't even watch the Campia review of it yet, to be honest with you. Matt says, my kids have YouTube channels of their own. I'm going to have them do their own movies review soon.
That's actually kind of cool, bro. Rico says, I kind of prefer Civil War over Infinity War. I mean, I feel like they're not the same. I'm not saying they're the same, but they're part of the same important story. So like starting from Civil War, it ramps up to like Infinity War and then Endgame. Like you need all three of those to like
Yeah, you need Winter Soldier, Civil War. You need Thor Ragnarok, and there was something in between there that I feel like I'm missing. Civil War.
I know you're not thinking Captain Marvel.
No, not at all.
Definitely not. And yeah, well, we're gonna have to talk about what will be the next Marvels. I don't mean Captain Marvel. I mean the Marvel's biggest flop, the sequel to Captain Marvel, Marvels, right?
Right.
Like did embarrassingly bad. Like, here's what I'm saying. If people didn't self-delete after working on that movie, they should have.
Whoa.
Because did you see it?
Yeah. Took my son to go see it. He loved it. I was just sitting there like, why did I do this to ruin my son?
I mean, kids, God bless them. God bless their hearts, right? But you know what people are saying is going to be the next Marvels is Supergirl. Supergirl's on 2 weeks away.
I love hanging out with you, bro. I'm probably gonna go see that for $6. Not gonna make the drive for that one. Right,
I'm actually thinking of not seeing it opening weekend. Here's the problem. I'm worried that people are gonna think I'm a sexist if I don't go. So I feel like I have to go.
What do you care? What do you care, bro?
But it so far doesn't seem like a movie that I would care about.
It doesn't look good at all. In fact, if this movie does better than Black Adam, then I'm gonna know that people have something against Polynesian Black people. All right.
Here's the thing that is getting me. I'm worried that if I don't participate in the DC thing, what if they stop DC movies altogether, right? That would suck. However, even though I like Superman, I don't think James Gunn is the right man to control an entire universe, right? I trust him for one franchise, but like look at all these. I mean, he's kind of a mess of a human.
I agree with you. There's a way to look at this too, man. Let's even just say it's on the fans, right? That we've pigeonholed him into the Guardians of the Galaxy guy, right? But that just proves the point that that's how fans see it. So maybe he shouldn't lead an entire corporation, an entire studio, man. Maybe we sparse this out, like let's get a few different people. And everyone's trying to recreate the Feige magic. But remember, Feige's just an executive producer, right? We
give him far too much credit, is what you're saying. And I agree with you. And the Hollywood execs give him too much credit. They were like, pay this man whatever. And he's just like, I just showed up to work. Right, because he was an associate producer on the X-Men movies, and when Marvel decided to make their own studio, they were like, well, yeah, he's the X-Men guy, make him do it. Yeah. And it actually seems originally they had a comics council to oversee his decision making, and eventually he had them all fired. He had them all removed. They're all comics writers already, so they already had jobs. But he was like, I don't need these guys. I'll do whatever. And if you notice, since he got rid of them, the movies have sucked.
So and with that said, going to see Supergirl, there's nothing about the story as of yet that seems compelling. Maybe I go see it at 12 o'clock in the afternoon for $6, and it's just like it blows my mind. But that will be entirely by accident because I'm not putting anything on this movie. I don't know how they're advancing the story. I don't understand why it wasn't Batman. Apparently, there's a new DC animated universe that's being launched on the back of the Adventures of Superman, my Adventures with Superman. So I just don't know where anything's going. So
yeah. And so, I mean, don't get me started on that. But he says, I'm probably not going to see Supergirl. Millie Alcock said it wasn't for Christian dads. Looks like I'm out. So here's what she did say. Here's what she actually did say. She said she's like in an interview, she said, they're like, how are you feeling with all the hate, right? And she says, somebody will attack me and say the most horrible things, and then when I go to their profile, in their profile bio, it'll say Christian dad.
Yeah.
she's like, what is that? And so that's what she was questioning, right? So I don't really think she is dissing Christian dads per se. There's just other things about this movie that I don't like. Look, I know I'm super shallow. We already talked about it. Mantis likes beautiful women. Millie is not pretty enough to play Supergirl, right? That's one thing.
Okay.
Another thing is that I feel that superhero movies, you're only as good as your villain, right? And they have a nobody as a villain for this movie. This is some guy we've never heard of. Like, he's in that one graphic novel, The Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just low energy. I hear she doesn't wear the costume most of the movie.
Really?
I hear she's not going to get it to the end.
She's in the costume, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, she's gonna wear party girl clothes and the trench coat most of the time, and I don't like that. That's like very Guardians of the Galaxy. Hey, she even has headphones like this, which is like Peter Quill and so I'm just I don't know what is supposed to be drawing me to. We just had a Superman adventure. Why do we have to see a super? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and let's just be real, man. The Superman movie itself had its problems. It was good, but it's not. Okay, let me give you an example, and this is my bias implicit as it is. The other day, I was on Instagram about 2 weeks ago, and there was a clip of the Man of Steel movie, the scene when he's under the graviton machine. Right. And I'm watching the scene, and Lawrence Fishburne's character is trying to save the girl, trapped under the rubble, and all the tension going on. Meanwhile, the music is becoming more compelling. Superman's being pushed down by the gravity. Cars are being smashed. And when he flies through that thing, and right before he does, Lawrence Fishburne looks the girl in the eye to prepare themselves for the death they think they're going to experience. It dawned on me. I was like, this movie is amazing. Superman, and everything after it isn't Superman. It just isn't. I just did not have that moment in that Superman movie. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have that moment, and I just don't think I'm gonna have that moment with Supergirl. Like, it just
and so what it is like Henry Cavill was such a good Superman, and this new guy is such a good Clark Kent. I wish there was a way to like fuse them. Like, I'll tell you, one of the best scenes in a superhero movie I've seen in a long time is from the new Superman, and I would say it's the scene when Lois comes back to her apartment, and he's dressed as Clark, and he's making her dinner, and he's trying to be a good boyfriend, and then she ends up interviewing him.
Yeah, that
scene was amazing. I love that back and forth where she's questioning him all these things, and he's getting frustrated, and he's like, I was just trying to save people. It was like such a good scene to explain like who Superman is at his core, right? And like the Snyder films, they didn't explore who Clark Kent is at all.
No.
We know who Superman is. We don't know who Clark Kent is.
Right.
And so I wish there was a happy fusion. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that weird Guardians of the Galaxy, weird, strange alien nonsense shit going on in the middle of that movie.
To wrap it all up, though, bring it full circle, man. Here's what I'm looking for Spider-Man, right? Now that we are finally getting the street level Spider-Man that everyone wants, I think Tom Holland has done an amazing job as Tony Stark Jr. Spider-Man, and I'm looking to see how he does as Spider-Man proper. I think he's going to kill it in this as well. I'm genuinely excited for that movie. I'm obviously super excited for Doomsday, even though I'm not sold on Robert Downey Jr. And it kind of does remind me of how I had to sit through two horrible Thor movies, one bad Avengers movie, and almost entirely pointless. There was something else I'm missing, man. There was one other Marvel movie where I was just like, why did they make this? But
is it Ant-Man?
Yes. I enjoyed Ant-Man as well, but at certain points in the theater, I was just like, the first Ant-Man movie, I was like,
agreeing. I'll tell you what they did, and this just proves how horrible the movie is. So they took Ant-Man's greatest villain, Ultron, away from him and gave it to Tony Stark for that shitty ass Age of Ultron movie, right? Yeah. And so by doing that, you didn't just make a bad Age of Ultron movie. You've now eliminated one of the coolest things you could have had Ant-Man fight.
Yeah.
For his own movie. So there was nothing left in his movies but just like be villains and bullshit, right?
Yeah. And then even on the back of Fantastic Four, which I have not watched again since I saw in the theater, enjoyed in the theater, knew I was not gonna like it a second time. But that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to go see Backrooms, man. I've heard some interesting reviews about it. I heard it's really, really good, to be honest.
I absolutely love it. I'm just going to prepare you. It is not typical horror.
No, I've heard that.
It's very weird. It gets weird, and it's more creepy. It's like I said, like I say, psychological horror.
Yeah, it's like a Stanley Kubrick movie or whatever his name is. like.
But it's good. It is good. Rico says, I thought the new Superman was actually more enjoyable than Man of Steel. Okay.
Rico, you're a Canadian and you don't know what you're talking about.
But so here's what it is. We've got Supergirl coming up. Then we've got Spider-Man. Then we got to wait for Doomsday. And then next year we're getting Secret Invasion. And that's Secret Wars. All these wars. There's too much wars in the titles.
And then America came to a peace treaty with Iran. I think gas
on Trump's
$4. We're gonna have White Vision, not to be confused with the White Mission, but White Vision coming out.
So I have a theory. I have a belief that out of some of the things I would fix for Captain America 4, one of the things is I would have had White Vision in that movie.
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense, man. They should have built Vision up more to become the actual,
because so not only this White Vision, because that's the Vision I grew up with, the White Vision with no soul. So not only was he right, Vision should be white. This is a white America and a white Vision is right. So white Vision. But what I'm saying is that, like, not only was he for years, a true member of the Avengers, right?
Right.
But in the storyline itself, he copies all of the memories from, I don't know. I was about to say colored vision. What do you call it? I guess regular vision, green vision. I don't know. Is he green or is he red? But the point is, if he had the memories, he would then still serve the Avengers.
Yeah.
So he should have been wingmanning. He should have been wingmanning for Captain America.
But to be fair, colored vision, multicolored vision did come first, and then it was white vision, and then eventually for some reason, I grew up under white vision as well, in the Reagan era.
Yeah, exactly. Like 80s through 90s, he was white. As he should be. No, I'm kidding.
But for some reason, I guess they thought comic book fans would really love going back to colored vision, and I was like, I don't really care about this, man. I just want. And to be honest with you, man, like Vision's one of those characters. I'm like, they tried to make him like
I love Vision. Are you serious? I love Vision. Vision's my boy.
He's always just been like, and they ruined it in the movies with Captain America. With Thor's hammer with Vision, and I was just like, this was, it didn't hit.
That whole Age of Ultron. I just wish we could forget. I wish we could just erase it. It's just such a bad movie.
That for my birthday, and I was just like, what a horrible gift to give myself. Like, I tried to convince myself I liked it, and I was just like,
I did the same thing. I just wanted to like it so hard. I was trying. After a while, I'm like, why am I trying so hard to defend this movie? But like, here's the thing. Here's what Vision is good at. And I know, here's the thing. I know you hate nerds. No, not us nerds. In comic books, you hate the smart guy who's in the comic book, right? I bet you hate the Beast. You fucking hate the Beast. I see it in your face, man. But like Vision, whether he's white or he's multicolored, I say myself that. He's a good smart guy for the team.
Yeah, yes.
Because he's like the android. And so like, while everyone else is, physical fighters, he'll be like, he'll say something wise or intelligent or whatever. But I like that. I like that in him. And so.
And he gave us Data. Data was one of my favorite smart guy characters. That's, the true
right. Data, yeah. And he was white as fuck too. Damn. Are androids racist?
Yes.
What does the chat think? Let us know. What do the Rumble kids think?
Rumble kids have dialed out. We are now many hours into the stream. I think
we've actually hit 2 hours. Look at that. We went too hard with the Christians.
You said.
But anyway, did you have fun tonight?
I did, man. I needed this. Therapeutic as always. Great to rant on the internet with my best friend and brother in Christ.
Absolutely. Where can they find you?
Folks, you can find me on RizRadio.com, RizRadio Live 365, and you will soon find me streaming on Fight Juice Online when Castlevania hits. It's not coming out anytime soon, but I'm getting all the stream stuff together. Buying a second PlayStation 5. First world problem, so I can stream comfortably without having to disassemble anything and all that dad stuff. But I am going to start with Stellar Blade next week on Fight Juice Online.
Just don't get divorced over it.
What, over the PlayStation?
No, over Stellar Blade.
Why?
Because how revealing her costume is.
Listen.
I hear wives everywhere are pissed, man.
So that's where you can find me, folks. And of course, you can always find me on Fanboy Modeling School.
Yo, Matt Cat, it's always good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Much love. Shout out to everyone out in the chat. I am the Fat Mantis. You can also catch me at rizradio.com or wherever Riz Radio is found, such as Live 365, radio.net, or any of these radio apps, right? And so you can hear replays, snippets of this very episode and other episodes Monday through Friday and 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can catch me, my personal show, Burn Your Degree, where I make you question reality and make you listen to Taylor Swift at the same time. That's Saturdays and Sundays, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Other than that, I'm around. You know where to catch me. I'm the Fat Mantis. He is
Steve. Real name, no gimmicks.
And until next time, ciao for now.
Peace.
Peace.